Howdy. How are we doing? Losing streak's over, guys. It's unfortunate. We lost 200 bucks today. Um yeah. However, I watched perfect timing last night. I watched Dodgy's boot camp on how to lose. And I'll be 100. A lot of it was nonsense. I'm gonna be 100. It was only a 10-minute long video, but the main takeaway, that at least that I took from it, is that when you lose, if you allow that loss to take over your mind, if you allow the inner critic to really creep in and really make decisions based off what you're going to do, or you just feel too emotional, you're not going to give yourself the opportunity to learn from your loss. So I lost today, but I kept my cool. I kept my cool. Okay, what is price action going to look like after the loss? What could I have done to avoid this loss? Just a ton of things, and honestly, there's a lot. So this video is going to be a little bit longer. We're going to have a lot of technical analysis today. Um, so let's just freaking get into it, yeah? Alrighty. Let's get to subtracting. Smith and Wesson now with some compassion. So this is the trade that we took today. We entered here after this candle closed. We ended up getting stopped out here, unfortunately. And then it immediately runs my take profit. But that's okay. That is okay. That's totally okay. First off, really means that my bias was correct. There's just a couple things that I missed for today. So, the biggest... I don't think there is a biggest thing that I can take away from it. It's a lot of little things, which honestly is annoying. The first one that I'll go into is the incorrect stop placement. So you'll notice I put my stops below this low, and that was a mistake. What I should have done is I should have set a soft stop at the bottom of this fair value gap. If I had done that, we would not have hit take profit yet, but I swear to God, sometimes I'd be placing one-to-ones, and I promise you this box is bigger than this box. Anyway, so incorrect stop placement for today. Should have set a soft stop below this fair value gap. I don't want to set, I want to set discretion to this strategy. So I'm not going to say that I need to be placing my stops at fair value gaps, or I need to be placing my stops at lower highs. What I am saying is that if you are going to place your stop at the bottom of a fair value gap, that is when you would place a soft stop. Oh man, I want to trade so bad right now. The mammalian brain, the inner critic is really coming through. Oh, that's another thing. I guess I'll go off on that. So let's write these things down. Let's write these things down, huh? Okay, so incorrect stop placement. Loss on 6/18. Yeah, 26. Okay. INCORREC stop PLACMENT. Okay. So, incorrect stop placement. If stop loss is at a fair value gap, use soft stop. If stop loss at high/low, use hard stop. Okay. So first stop. However, something that I'd like to say, actually the next thing that I want to go into is we did get our strategy today. It was not clear cut. It was not A plus. It was not amazing. It was, oh man. Dang. Anyway, yeah. So well, first off, let's go into what the confluence of this trade were. So first off, what we're doing is we're seeing accumulation. We get accumulation. This is not accumulation. I'll go into that later. This really should have told me that I shouldn't have traded today. Anyway, it's whatever. What was our manipulation to? It was this candle right here to this 30-minute fair value gap. We manipulate down, straight down, immediately as 930 hits, and we hit that fair value gap. After we get that fair value gap, where do you think the retest was? For me, at the beginning of the trade, when I put into this trade, I went in here. Reason I did not go here is because we were still respecting this fair value gap. I don't want to get too nitty-gritty into it. I think that, you know, if there's a fair value gap above, then, you know, be cautious about entering your long. However, if it's on the 5-minute, don't worry about it too much. Like, we go on the 10-minute here. It's on the 10-minute, but we inverse it immediately. And on the 15-minute, it doesn't exist. On the 30-minute, it doesn't exist. On the hourly, there's literally nothing there. So it's just like, you know, what's going on here? Not much. This was the retest. How can we identify the retest? By the wick. Here I see two major retests, here and here. We didn't go off any of those. So, starring this, the retest will have a large wick, usually. So, damn, that's looking like it's gonna really, fuck, man. Yeah, so, unfortunately, man, I'm really dogging myself right now. I'm really annoyed right now. Dang it. Dang it. Oh, don't look. Dang. Yeah, that's rough, man. Dang, bro. We would have hit our trade today. Anyway. For the soft stop placement. This is another thing. Like I told you, it's a lot of little things. A lot of little things today. For the soft stop placement. Here's the thing. On the 1 minute, we close below this. We close below this nicely. But this is where the discretion is going to have to come into play. Okay. When we're soft stopping, yes, we close below this low, but we got a major wick out of it. And we immediately came back up. And we're really just retesting into a fair value gap. You know, yes, we didn't break, we didn't respect the soft stop on the 1 minute. However, this is just where you have to be aware of everything. I didn't even notice this 5-minute fair value gap. Or I did. I'm sorry. I did notice it. I noticed it here. I had placed an equilibrium at here from this wick to this wick. And obviously we didn't hit equilibrium. However, we did hit that 5-minute fair value gap. So, or no, we did hit equilibrium. Sorry. Wait. No, this is an incorrect equilibrium. Did we hit EQ? We did, into the fair value gap. So I placed my EQ. I think it was here. Whatever. EQ made me notice this fair value gap. And I placed the fair value gap. However, I placed it on NQ1 and I was trading on MNQ. So I think what I should be doing is placing my trades on NQ1. Okay. However, all charting before the trade, during the trade, and after the trade is done on NQ1. So we'll place that. All charting is done on NQ1 before during and after the trade. And you know, I'm gonna boost my own horn right now. Man, this is exactly how you lose, dude. This is exactly how you lose. You don't allow the loss to screw with you. You don't be looking at the charts looking for another opportunity to trade. You just sit down with a pen and pencil and you write down everything that made you lose. And that's what I'm doing today. The next thing that I would like to go into. This is not accumulation. This is barely a retest. And this is the worst distribution I've ever seen in my life. We are not getting an obvious setup today. We de-risked because of that reason. But we should really start to consider when not to trade. And I think that's a discretionary thing. You know, I don't think that not seeing your setup absolutely perfectly clearly is the best reason not to trade for the day. However, didn't really see my setup today. We're having a bank holiday tomorrow. This war in Iran is still playing around. SpaceX IPO just came through. You have all of these things, all of these factors contributing to bad price action. We had FOMC yesterday and got pretty shitty price action. Up until FOMC, I will say. FOMC was pretty fucking nice today. Got a nice accumulation. Got a distribution immediately. I wouldn't consider this, like, I wouldn't equate this to really anything. It's just the drop as soon as, what's his name? Jerry or something? Jerry Warsh? Something like that. The FOMC meter. He goes, what a good day. Boom! Anyway, we get the accumulation. We get a manipulation to that high. We get displacement down. We are retesting into a fair value gap. We get displacement down. So yesterday was a great opportunity. I just decided to stay out. But I mean, come on, man. You look at this New York PM session compared to this New York AM session. Just not looking good. I am not going to trade New York PM session. I really like sticking to my rule of only trading from 9:30 to 11 o'clock. Yes, there is going to be other opportunities to trade. Yes, it would honestly be a great idea to trade New York PM session today because of how balls and buns New York AM session was today. However, specifically for me, I have an over trading problem. I like to get my get back. And if I set a rule that I can only trade from 9:30 to 11 o'clock, then over trading would be very difficult. I mean, it's not very difficult. You can press buy and sell a hell of a lot between 9:30 and 11. But my over trading, like the worst time I over trade is now. Like right now, I'd be over trading if I wanted to. So I'm not going to write that down. That's already a that's already something I said. But that another thing I'd like to go into. I have noticed that the retest happens a lot sooner than expected. And the distribution, the initial distribution, so this guy, we get like, I'd say, so this is the manipulation here. This is all the accumulation here. This is the distribution here. And this is the retest. Here. We should have entered here. Oops. We should have entered here. Stops. Oh, there's another thing I want to go into. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. Stops below that low. Take profit. I don't know. At this high? Yeah. This high would have been great with a runner. Would have got break even though. Anyway. The retest happened sooner than expected. And the manipulation to the distribution to the retest is going to be a lot more technical and a lot less obvious than you think it's going to be. If it is obvious, if it is, no shit, that is obviously a retest, obviously manipulation, obviously accumulation. That's great. But that's not going to happen every day. And it's going to happen on the days where you can take trades, not on FOMC, not on a Monday or a Tuesday, not as Trump speaking. You know, there's going to be days that price action is going to be great, but our accumulation, our manipulation, and our distribution with our retest is not going to be that obvious. I do think that, you know, you should be taking the obvious trades, but at the same time, it's like, we got the setup today, bro. This played out. You just happened to put your box in the wrong place. So, I'm going to write that down. The ACCUMIL. I definitely spelled that wrong. MINAP. Will not be as obvious and happen sooner than you think. Ways not always be obvious and might happen sooner than you think. Okay, next thing that I'd like to go into. We went in here with our stops here. Now, with the whole discretion thing, with the whole we're entering into a 5-minute fair value gap, should have placed our stops at the fair value gap. This has also led me into another thing that I'm thinking about. Setting your stop loss at the last low and not the low that we are distributing off of is the best thing to do. Like if we had entered here, right, I would have put my stops here at the previous low, because if we come up, we make a low, we distribute up, we make another low that's higher than the previous low. We come up, we sweep this out. Actually, let's let me do this up here. So let's say we get a low, right? And we get a high. Then we get a higher low. If we come up here, let's say we sweep this out. Let's just pretend there's a wick there. And we break below this low. This is a market structure shift. And we're going to retest and we're going to go back down here, right? However, if we are longing here, how do I say this? So this would be a market structure shift. It's how do I say this? Should I say that? I don't know, man. I'll put need to explore putting stops below previous low, not the low we're distributing off of. To test placing stop below previous low, not the low we are distribution of. Or I guess maybe just the most obvious low. That's better. That's better. The most obvious low. Because if you go into the 5 minute, use 5 minute for stop loss. Use 5 minute, use 3 minute, just not the 1 minute. The 1 minute's a little too much information. But yeah, man, that's what's really going to help me out here. I think that, it's not going to be like I'm going to hop on the charts Monday and I'm going to be doing each and every one of these perfectly. But we've written them down. We understand that, hey, this is what we need to work on. This is what we need to get better at. And we're going to. We're going to get better at these things. So just as a recap, what can we learn from this loss? Incorrect stop placement. If stop loss is at a fair value gap, use soft stop. If a stop loss is at a higher low, use the hard stop. Why is it that we want to hit a hard stop at a higher low? Well, if we are coming down to this previous low, see, God damn it, man. This is all things of discretion. This is why I want to add discretion to it, because it's like you need to just learn through screen time where the best stop loss is going to place. Like maybe saying that we should have hard stops at lows isn't a great idea, because there's a possibility that we could just write off in reverse at highs or lows. We could be getting a liquidity sweep. Like, let's say you were entering a long here. You longed right here, right? And you place your stop below this low. This is just a liquidity sweep. But you go in the 1 minute. Sorry. It's not a, if you had set your stop loss, a hard stop loss at this low, you would have got stopped out and you would have missed this whole move. So it's like, how do I say this? Discretion, brother. You need to really lock in on placing your soft stop, because your bias was right today. I think that the majority of my time, personally, that my bias is correct. I knew that we were going to bump today. I knew that this was the manipulation. I knew that we're coming into a 30-minute for value gap. I knew, in hindsight, that this was the retest, And it's like, I think there actually is a biggest thing that we can take away from today. I think the biggest thing that we can take away from is this. The retest will always have a large wick, usually. So when we're looking for a wick, hop on the 5 minute, or when we're looking for a retracement, hop on the 5 minute, try and see a large wick with a distribution out of it. So right here we get a large wick. So 1035, hop on the 1 minute after we get this large wick, hopping in here. This at least if you were to long here at this current point in time, longing here, stops. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, is placing our stop loss here really the smartest move? Not really. Not really, in my opinion, because, that's a pretty good stop loss. Obviously, it works out. So it's like, yeah, that's the biggest thing for today. That's the biggest takeaway. I've wrote all these things down. I think these are all things that I can take into consideration. I can all start to back test it on. However, I think that the retest is going to be wiki. It's going to be wiki. It's going to be, the manipulation. It's going to be wiki. We see here, and wiki in every direction. We see here, we just get a bunch of wicks, a bunch of Dodie channels, a bunch of order blocks, all of this crap. And yeah, that's what I really I see. I will also say, I feel like, I used to discredit order blocks. I used to think that order blocks are kind of stupid. However, I have noticed that the past couple of days, we are retesting into order blocks. So, I'm going to put a little star. Don't discount the order block. Don't order block. Sorry if I'm really jumpy. I really got to pee right now. But anyway, that is really it, guys. Honestly, not a bad trade today. I will say. I think that I will say I think I did take an okay trade today. I think that I think that I take an okay trade today. Obviously, we got stopped. Dude, I gotta pee so bad. All right, we gotta end this. Biggest things to take away from retest, manipulation. It's gonna be wiki, man. The retest and the manipulation, they're gonna be wiki. Look for those wicks on higher time frames up to the 5 minute. Next biggest thing to take away is the distribution. You can identify that off of just a break of structure. And I'm not talking about closing above previous highs or previous lows. I'm talking about closing above wicks. I guess that's just me being a little bit scared of entering into a trade, but I think I really need to start entering into trades off of the break of structure of a wick, off of the break of structure of a candle, not off of a previous major high. Like if we had waited for the distribution, we would have needed to wait for here, which I did. We got a retest here, ended up getting stopped out here at a stop loss that really, this is just a bit just stop loss. So, a couple things to consider, a couple things to go into, a couple of things that we need to work on. Main things are manipulation, retest. They're going to be wiki. Next biggest thing, take the trade off of that first break a candle on anything except for the 1 minute. If we're breaking structure on the 3 minute, like here, this is a distribution because we are closing above this high. We are closing above this high. We are getting a retest. We are closing above this high on the 3 minute. I think that the 3 minute and the 5 minute are really my big friends. I think that the 5 minute is really good for stops. It's really good for identifying the retest because, again, you're going to get those wicks on the 3 to 5 minute. You're not really going to get any wicks. Like, yeah, we're getting wiki, kind of wiki around here, but this isn't a large wick. You go on to the 5 minute. The wick's bigger than my cock, So, I'm gonna end this here. I'd love to go in on a rambling session, but I've really got to take a piss. Gonna be 100. I guess the best thing that we did today, dude, we only lost $200. I made $2 fucking grand in the last couple of days. You think $200 is gonna fuck my psyche? No! I just proved it didn't fuck with my psyche by writing all this shit down. Anyway.
I gotta pee! I will see y'all later. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace out, guys.